This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena. And folks, 25 years ago, I started in film criticism, 1996. And 2005, I started at CHSR on campus here in Fredericton. And then in 2015, I started my Python's Paradise as a podcast. It's hard to believe it's been 25 years because one of the movies I saw at the theater that year is celebrating its 25th anniversary is The Birdcage. And I saw that twice in the theater. And my guest today is from that movie. She's a journalist, she's an actress, and she's fretting about video.
I'm really fretting about video.
folks, I give you the lovely and beautiful Francesca.
So it's spelled Francesca, but it's Italian, although I'm Cuban American.
Okay.
It's pronounced Francesca.
Francesca Cruz. Like Penelope Cruz, not like
Exactly.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I usually say that when they're like Cruz, I'm like, yeah, like Penelope, not Tom.
Yeah.
Not everyone gets that, but yes, exactly. Like Penelope.
Francesca. You know, it's interesting because I've had Antonia Francesca on here from Fame, and I've had her on here twice, and I botched her name, and she had to correct me on it. But yeah, because it feels like there's supposed to be an H in there when you say it, but there isn't.
Yes, and it's my biggest pet peeve when I see a Francesca that has a CH, because I'm like, no, the right way is the Italian way. It's an Italian name. It's Francesca, and I don't even know why my dad decided to. Actually, I do. He had an Italian friend who told him, you should name your daughter Francesca, and he's like, okay. So yeah. So I can't believe it's been 25 years, by the way. You just said 25. When we initially connected and you put 25, I was like, I think you might be miscalculating. 25? It's impossible. But oh my God, it has definitely been 25 years.
Well, I saw that at the Kmart Plaza, which used to be a 4-screen theater, and that was the last year that theater was open until we got our 10-screener at the mall.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
Was it historical? Was it like a cool historical theater?
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss those. I miss those kind of similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw The Birdcage, and I got it here on Blu-ray.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Great movie.
Yes. It's been translated into so many different languages, and the cool thing has been throughout the years when I travel, because for almost 10 years I've been a travel writer traveling the world, and when I kind of catch it on some hotel room and it's like in French or in Israeli or in Spanish, it's always it's a treat to see it. Or have friends that are traveling around like send me little video clips, so I'm watching you right now, you're in Japanese. I'm like, oh, very cool.
Yep. So it's funny because this is a remake of the French film, and I don't know how to pronounce it, but basically Birds of a Feather from the 1970s.
Yes.
And I remember in 1998, Gus Van Sant, who's a great filmmaker, but for some weird reason, he made that really crappy shot-for-shot remake of Psycho, which was an abomination.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the Hitchcock film. Yeah, that film was awful.
Yeah. But I remember the film he did with River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves, which at the time, what was it called? Something Indiana? No, something Idaho. Do you know what I'm talking about?
My Own Private Idaho?
My Own Private Idaho.
Okay.
That was Gus Van Sant, correct? If I remember.
I don't know. I haven't even seen that film.
Oh, it was if you look at it now, you're like, wow, that's very kind of avant for the time, but watching it then, which was probably 1992, was very heavy. So he's an interesting director. But yes, the original is La Cage aux Folles. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because the Psycho remake was garbage. Yeah. This film is what a shot-for-shot remake looks like, because I've seen the original version of this.
I have
And
too.
and yeah, and it's like everything that's in this movie is in that movie, right down to the doing the toast and accidentally breaking the glass on the phone. Like everything is in there. So and I think both films are great. So kudos to the Birdcage, you know?
Yeah. Well, Mike Nichols, here's an interesting story. When I was probably like 16 years old, I remember staying home from school because I was sick
Hmm.
and watching, in the afternoon, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which
Yeah.
is actually Mike Nichols' first movie.
Yep.
And I just became enthralled with, well, two titans, right, of Hollywood, Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor, and just how they aged her in that movie. And I just remember waiting till to the very end when the credits are scrolling up, and I was like, who is this director? And I see the name Mike Nichols. Wow, Mike Nichols. How cool. Can you imagine if one day I get to work with Mike Nichols? And then, before Google and before you could really dive deep into finding out about directors, I ended up finding out about Mike Nichols, and he was so young when he directed that movie, and to be able to have that vision and like fast forward all these years later, talk about kismet, and I guess the law of attraction, or the whole idea of metaphysics before it happens, like you can really materialize things, you can really like call things into your life, because I would have never thought, as I sat in Hialeah, Florida, my home that I grew up in, that just my seeing this movie and thinking maybe one of these days I'll get to work with Mike Nichols. Ba-bam, fast forward, 1995, working with Mike Nichols. Pretty cool.
It's interesting because Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, I think, was the first film to feature any form of offensive language.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, MASH ended up being the first film to feature the F word.
Really? That I didn't know.
Yeah, I found that out. I think it was through Roger Ebert had mentioned that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then of course everybody got their hair and
Yeah.
flung out of shape over that, and
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
remember my mom didn't let me listen to, like, she thought it was too out there to listen to Olivia Newton-John's Let's Get Physical, which I was like, it's about working out. And nowadays, like, you listen to some of this, rap songs and you're like, okay. It's like, or just watching like the Grammys, watching Cardi B, and you're like, wow. Like they used to make a big stink about, remember when well, we are not going to remember, but the discussion of Elvis Presley being on Ed Sullivan and having to kind of zoom in because
yep.
you want to catch him, moving around to lasciviously. So yeah, things have
I
changed.
don't know. I think this whole cancel culture thing going on now, I think these people really need to get a life and go find something else to do with their time because
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of censorship. I think people should be able to make the film they want to make. Yes, I do think that there should be some parameters of obviously people should have some sense. Like I don't think a Serbian film is not something I would ever sit down and watch. So but
Yeah, it's getting a little out there. And I just, well, recently I posted about this, like they're canceling Pepe Le Pew because
yeah,
he used to be like, what is he, like aggressive towards women. As a kid, what I learned from Pepe Le Pew was reverse psychology. And once you value yourself, I mean, I saw myself in the version of Pepe Le Pew, not the cat. Once you value yourself, things kind of come towards you. Like you don't have to chase anything in life. That's what I, learned from Pepe Le Pew, right? But I
mm-hmm,
guess it's like, is the glass half full or half empty? And talk about this, like the movie, because it's shot in South Beach and because of what's happening right now. I don't know if you've been watching the news lately, but the spring break scene in South Beach has been horrific.
mm-hmm.
And this movie was shot, it came out in 1996, so it was shot mostly towards the end of 1995. And that was the prime really, there's been different times in the history of South Beach, obviously the Art Deco movement, and in the 1950s with Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack, and it had its different, stages. And then the 80s kind of, it really happened, because I remember Scarface and that craziness of the 80s, and it was all these mighty mosquitoes, and you had to be very careful. But there was a little even seediness and kind of rough around the edges glamour to it. But when this movie was shot, it was the zenith, I think, of South Beach, because you would just walk down the street and see Versace, or you'd run into Madonna at the local gym, or some supermodel. I remember going to a casting and running into Mickey Rourke and Carrie Otis and Lauren Bacall. I'm sorry, Lauren Hutton. They were just like walking down the beach and seeing Carrie Otis at her prime, the most, still to this day. I mean, Lauren Hutton was very impressive, like she was older, but seeing Carrie Otis, gorgeous woman. Like, this movie was shot really during the most glamorous time, beautiful models, like, you would run into Lenny Kravitz, and there was no like paparazzi scene. Like, everybody was just doing their thing, and it was such a beautiful time in South Beach. So
Yeah. So definitely the scenery is great in the Birdcage.
yeah.
So what was it like working with Mike Nichols? I mean, this is a guy that made Who Framed Virginia, or Who
Yeah.
Framed, think of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Who's afraid of
Who's afraid of
Virginia?
Virginia Woolf? Yeah.
Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf, and The Graduate, and
Yes.
you know, uh, what is the one he did in 1970? It's just coming to my mind.
Oh,
Uh,
so many. I was thinking about that. I was like, I should write down all the movies that he
Primary Colors, of course, he did that.
yes, yes. And then like
Yeah,
a recent one in the 2000 and something, was it Closer, with Jude Law, which I think was one of his last ones. And
yeah.
yeah, he was very serious, but
Hmm.
um he was definitely the leader, the pack, the alpha dog in the group.
Hmm.
Um, but he wouldn't, shoo you away. Like, I remember sitting at a table with him having lunch, because although it's a couple of scenes in the movie, the shooting took place for several weeks. So I was kind of, spending time with these different individuals that participated in the movie. And I remember him telling this great story about him being like kind of the apprentice of Hitchcock, and him overhearing this story of Hitchcock describing working with Ingrid Bergman, and
Hmm.
how she was, and he did like the voice and the whole acting. He was like, oh, she was so beautiful. She was so beautiful, but she was so dumb. Like, but you never think she's got that kind of Swedish, like, she appears to be intellectual, but that's just the aura that she would give off, right? And just listening in, like being the fly on the wall of him sharing stories with either Gene Hackman or Robin Williams. And for me, that was the most exciting part, because as I had shared before, like just the idea of being able to work on a movie with, like, I was awestruck with Mike Nichols, because it's like, oh my God, it's that time when I was a kid. It can't be. So he was great, but he was definitely someone that he gave off that feeling of like respect, team
Hmm.
leader, respect, but he was inclusive as well. So that was just
So how did you get cast in the Birdcage?
funny story. At the time, I was going to school and going to a lot of castings. I had just finished working on a music video show that did very well with a Spanish. It was Univision, and I found myself going to all these castings. So I was constantly going to castings. And I remember at the time the movie was called uh, Birds of a Feather.
Hmm.
So it wasn't the Birdcage. And when my agent called me, she was like, "Listen, you need to go to this casting for this movie." at that time, luckily, thank God, there were so many productions going on in Miami, whether you were shooting, for a catalog or, covers, or you were shooting a commercial, or you were shooting, a movie or a B movie. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And I just remember thinking, oh my God, I just booked this and I'm so exhausted. I have all these other castings and what movie is this? And like, well, who's in it? Oh, it's very hush hush. I can't say. Like, we don't even know. Like, okay, then why? Maybe it's just like a B movie. Like, ugh, I don't really want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And she just kept telling me, you need to go. You have to go. Apparently, it's a hush hush thing, but it's going to be a big thing. I was like, oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. Up until like the last minute, she just kept calling me and was like, listen, the casting agent is a big casting agent in Miami. You don't want to piss her off, which was Ellen Jacoby, amazing agent. But you didn't want to piss her off. And so you need to go. So I kind of showed up, not with a chip on my shoulder, but just like, okay, did the drill. Although when you're a performer, once the camera's on, you're on, right? You can be super introverted and the camera's on and then you're on. And I remember seeing all these gorgeous models there. And I'm like, okay, is this the correct casting? Am I at the right place? Maybe I'm in the wrong place. And just doing the casting. Okay, bye. All right, bye. Maybe 2 weeks went by and then I got the call and then it was like, okay, it's a big deal. And guess what? It's Robin Williams. It's Gene Hackman. I mean, Gene Hackman, right?
The French Connection. Yeah.
Oh, like one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And then when I heard Mike Nichols, the director, I was like, what? So yeah, it started off as like, I don't want to go. I'm too tired, to a big deal. And still a big deal. It's been 25 years, but I mean, still when people find out that I'm in it, they're like, that's one of the most amazing movies. Like, it's my favorite. Like, I hear that all the time. Like, it's my favorite. It's a favorite. It's a favorite. And they don't, not referring to like the original, like Cage Full. A lot of people don't even realize of the 1979 version. They know it as maybe like a play. Oh, it was a play. But yeah, it's just, it keeps giving. There's still so much positive energy associated to it. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I find it interesting too, because watching it recently, excuse me, the opening of it put me a lot in mind of the opening of a film that came out the following year, Boogie Nights.
Oh yeah.
Where they're walking through, like Boogie Nights starts, from the street and they're walking through the club, and a great shot by Paul Thomas Anderson. You end up in passing meeting everybody and following them and whatnot. In this case, you get inside the club.
Well, and you're going from the water, right? And
Yeah.
there's no cut. It just keeps going.
Yep.
And the also the lighting guy on there is a famous, they call him El Chivo. He's Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
And he's done so much work. I mean, he's been in so many fantastic movies. And now that I look back and I think about, oh my God, I worked with that guy. And he won recently an Oscar. I think it was for The Labyrinth, or no, what was it? It's this Mexican director that won about 3 years ago. He won an Oscar as well. But yeah, like the ensemble cast, as well as the people that work behind the scenes, you're like, oh my God, I wish I had known really who I was working with at that time. I can appreciate it more as I get older. But yeah, that opening scene is, yeah.
Yeah, and then you're following Robin Williams, and I love it. Gets the humor going off right at the start. You got him going to the DJ and making sure everything is tip top for the drag queens that night. I like it when he opens the door at the kitchen, somebody's picking food off the floor, and Robin Williams just gives this look like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. And it was interesting too to see him kind of play between him and Nathan Lane. Like, he really is more of the straight man, right? He's more like the Dean Martin in this particular movie. He's a great human being.
Robin Williams, to me, he was one of my favorite comedians. And speaking of Gus Van Sant, he was in Good Will Hunting, where he won the Oscar.
Yes.
Yep. Robin Williams, like everything I've heard about him from people that's worked with him or known him, have said great things about him, especially how he could just improvise right there on the second, and Robin Williams, of course, especially in the scene where he's teaching this guy how to dance, and doing the Madonna, and all this stuff, and all these body movements that he's making. Robin Williams was an incredible talent. I felt bad to hear about him going.
Well, in the way that he went. Yeah, that I remember when that happened. I actually got interviewed about it as well. The time that I spent with him was incredible. I now also, when I look back, I realize that he was funny.
hmm
It felt like 24/7, which you can't constantly be on that high because when you come off of it, it's got to be really rough. And the one thing I noticed that stood out so much was that as soon as he set foot on the stage, he would say hi to everyone, whether the lighting person, the guy that was cleaning the floor, the makeup lady, the extras. He made time to say hi. He didn't walk in like a diva. He said hi to everyone. And every time he would see me, he would call me by Francesca, how are you today? What's going on? Like very engaged, like how's school going? Like it really cared. Like, he would ask people, oh, how's your son doing? And like just fully engaged. And he pardon my French, gave a shit, right? Like, um, so yeah, so many wonderful memories, so wonderful stories. So like, he's just a great human being. Funny as I mean, a lot of the stuff that obviously there was a script, but I love that Mike Nichols also kind of let him do his thing, and how brilliant for someone that like him that was so over the top, really to hone it back a little,
Yeah.
play more of the straight man. He really let Nathan Lane, and the irony there also is that Nathan Lane, who was so over the top in the movie, in person, at least my dealing with him, he was very introverted and very serious. He wasn't as engaging as
hmm
Robin was. So
Yeah. I'll say one thing. After Robin Williams had passed, a charity challenge came out in his honor afterwards called the Doubtfire Face Challenge for suicide and depression awareness.
mm,
Yeah. And I've actually threw it out to a few of my guests, and I've had some luck with it. It involves taking a pie in the face, and you nominate three people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've had a number of my guests do that, and yeah, to bring awareness to suicide and depression. So, yeah, so
Well, he
I
was known
felt
for that quote about how sometimes the people that have, the biggest smiles and always cracking jokes are the ones that are like hurting the most inside. So,
it doesn't surprise me,
yeah.
but I heard he could just turn on a dime when it comes to improvising, and I don't think I could do that. Like if somebody had asked me, to shoot shoot my like I've had director James Balsamo asked me to shoot scenes on my phone to send to him to splice into his movie. I'd ask him in and about what he'd want me to say or do, and then I'd send it to him, and I'd base it on that. But on the spot, on the set of a movie, I couldn't do that. And Robin Williams apparently was an
Oh yeah,
expert
yeah,
at
yeah.
it.
Even behind the scenes, I just remember I mean, we spent weeks, on the set, and there would be a time where I'm like, okay, 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 all right, stop, Robin, stop. Okay, no more jokes. I just need a second. Like, what's my line? Like, I needed to. He was just on all, and so funny where you would walk around with like cramps because he was just so funny and over the top. Like he combined. I'm not usually a fan of slapstick. That's not my like slipping on a banana is not my thing. But he would combine like wit, absolute wit. Like you had to be a pretty well versed and he would just bring up stuff that I mean, brilliant. And then combine not so much the slapstick as like a lot of the body, like like he would do not contortionisms, but he would like just move in like the weirdest ways that you could not stop laughing. And yeah,
It,
he would just turn it on.
it's funny because I was watching something on him. Excuse me. I think it was on Watch Mojo on YouTube, and it talked about a scene in the Birdcage where they're in the middle of the dinner thing, and he's out back with Hank Azaria,
Mhm.
and he slips on the floor. I didn't know this, but apparently he slipped for real. But he stayed in character, and the scene
Hey.
worked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah, once he was in character, he was in character. And he could get into character and out of character like that, like immediately. So, and then,
yeah,
for a novice, you're like, okay, hold on, wait, hold on, I gotta concentrate. Robin, not right now. Hold on. Very playful, very funny, very I mean, he was so thoughtful as well. He connected me. He's like, you need to talk to my agent. Like, you need to be in California. What are you doing here in Miami? And then his agent showed up and he's like, you need to like just a really thoughtful person. So yeah, I only have wonderful memories of Robin.
yeah. Yeah, and of course, I love it where of course, anybody who hasn't seen the movie, of course, is his son is getting engaged,
Yeah.
is getting engaged to Callista Flockhart, of course, and she is the daughter of a senator, and of course, Robin Williams, who his character's now gay,
Yes.
and
Okay. Bransky. Or
yeah,
he had a child. I'm not sure. I can't remember right now if he was. I think he had a child with Christine Baranski.
yep, and he runs this nightclub in Miami of drag queens. And of course, his big star player, of course, is Nathan Lane.
Yes.
And of course, the whole thing is he's got to keep this whole thing secret from the senator when he comes for dinner. Of course, his place is located right above the nightclub. So he's very reluctant, but he's going to change everything.
Yes. Yes. And then there was that guilt factor because he wasn't as present in the life of the son apparently. So now he's trying to like kind of you know like be present. So he really wants to put on the whole song and dance.
Isn't it interesting how well the son turned out, despite the parents kind of being
Yeah.
separate from him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, I enjoyed that part of the movie, and everybody having to try to adjust to this whole thing. Nathan Lane, yes, over the top, but over the top in a good way, because when he has to reel it in,
Yes.
like
There are moments.
when he's
Yeah.
sitting on the couch saying, "I'm only trying to help you," but he can't just he can't reel it in because this is who he is, you know. Um, I love that when Robin Williams is trying to teach him how to be a man, he says, "I
Like
I
John Wayne.
I don't remember John Wayne walking like that."
Yes, yes. I mean, he played it. There were moments that were over the top, but it was that personality. It's not that he
Yep.
played it over the top. Such a
Yeah.
fantastic, fantastic actor. Um, on set, a little bit more reserved, not
Hmm.
to say aloof, but a professional, right? I
Yep.
mean, a professional. So
Here's the great thing about Nathan Lane too in the movie is that besides piercing the toast, uh,
yeah,
here's the thing with him. Number one, he got the body movements down perfect.
yes,
He
yes,
was great. Like everything with the finger. And Robin Williams, put the finger down. When
yeah,
you're drinking or whatnot.
yeah.
Everything, and he's trying to adjust, and he really, really wants to help the situation.
Hmm.
Um, One of the things I like, and I won't give the ending away, but how cool is it that Nathan Lane's character solved the plot problem?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
he really solved the plot problem
yeah,
when it comes right down to when they have to do something crucial on the spot. He's the one that was like, maybe there is a way.
yeah,
I thought that was great that he ended up
yeah,
being the one to solidify the whole thing, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and talk about, because when you think of the 1979 version of La Cage aux Folles and you try to translate, some jokes aren't going to translate, right?
Hmm.
But Elaine May, who is phenomenal writer, like did such a great job to bring it into present day, and you still see the movie today and it's funny, right?
Yep.
It's still funny. It's not, oh, that's so dated, that's so 1995 or 96. No, it's funny, at any time. So
Elaine May too was also in one of my favorite Woody Allen movies, Small Time Crooks.
oh yes.
Oh my goodness! And I'm like, is that the same Elaine May? Yeah, and she was great
Yes.
in that, you know.
Yeah, well, I think she started off as an actress and then she kind of went into writing,
Uh-huh.
correct? Yeah. And then
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember who her partner, she had a writing partner. Um, I can't remember right now, but yeah, great sense of wry, witty humor for sure.
Hmm.
And then there's Hank Azaria, who was just
That's another guy we gotta talk about
yeah,
because again, great physical actor.
great. I
And
get so many questions about him too. Yeah.
you know what? It's funny because again, he has the same issues as the Nathan Lane character. He has a problem being a man, so to speak, you know, and
And wearing
spe-
shoes.
wearing shoes like he can't stay on his feet. I would have just let him do the barefoot thing because it probably would have suited the scenery, you know. I would let him go with it, and I just would have like, yeah, this is what his culture's like, you know. So blah 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 blah, you know. But they had him wear the shoes, and I'll tell you that resulted in some great physical humor.
Oh
He
God.
didn't even get to put the shrimp in that soup that he made.
Oh, so funny too. Great guy, very funny. And then to kind of find out that he's got this like serious theater background as well, aside from film. Yeah, really funny. Really funny on set. I didn't get to see him as like him and Callista Flockhart. I didn't get to see as much,
Uh-huh.
but it was cool to see them on the set for the short amount of time that I did get to see him. And yeah, he was very funny.
I gotta say, Callista Flockhart, when they had her done up with that little pixie wig, she looked pretty hot in that.
You know, I, I get that at that time she was really kind of bursting, like she was like the next big thing because then she did Ally Beale. Was it Ally Beale?
Ally
The
McBeal, yeah.
Ally McBeal right after that. Um,
I liked her in the very underrated Michael Hoffman film, A Midsummer's Night's Dream.
I did not. Let
Oh,
me
you
see
should
that.
see it. That it's got
Yeah.
Kevin Kline and Michelle Pfeiffer in it.
Wow.
It is beautiful. I think it's so underrated.
Yeah. Wait, is Anthony Hopkins in that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. No, then I haven't seen it. Yeah. Callista was very sweet and very dainty, but um, yeah, I noticed more of her talent afterwards on with the TV show. Um, but I really didn't get to spend too much time with her either to have a solid opinion. But she fits the bill in the movie and does a great job of it.
Yeah. No, but I gotta say that Gene Hackman,
Oh yeah,
phenomenal actor. Of course, the French Connection is what
yeah,
I always think about when it comes to him. How it is, there's a guy that could check off every box, you know?
yeah.
And boy, he is so funny in this, you know?
But playing really straight, like
Yep.
he is in character. Like talk about great casting. Like I couldn't
Hmm.
think of anybody else playing that role. Like he just did it. Like Gene Hackman in that role. Just so funny. Him being so straight made it, oh my God. And when there's that phone call in the car, remember that they find out about the prostitute? Do you
Yep.
remember? Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yep.
Hilarious.
I like it when he's trying to climb out the window or to climb up the ladder. He goes, Diane Weiss is like, "You could have fell. I did."
And I love Diane. Oh my
Oh
God.
yeah.
She's
Oh,
a
I
piece
love
of
it too. Yep. Go.
I still find her so beautiful. Like she
Mm-hmm.
was really beautiful when she was young, but still, even at her age, she's just her bone structure, her skin, her voice, like phenomenal.
Yeah. I like it. There's part of the movie where but yeah, he comes up to her and says, of course, everybody's in drag. You don't know, like the what we perceive as women turning out to be men. I wouldn't know the difference
Well,
on a
in
lot of
Miami
them.
Beach at that time, that was just common. Like, you,
Oh my goodness, because you see them on stage there singing "We Are Family," and when they come off the stage, they start taking their stuff off. Like, holy cow,
yeah, yeah,
these
yeah.
these are actually men, you know. But I know there's a point where somebody comes up to Diane Weiss and goes, "I never danced with a man before." She's like, "Well, there's always a first or something." Of course, she's actually a woman.
Yeah.
So I found that so funny, you know. And yeah, she and Hackman were well cast as the senator and his wife, and
I love that.
Hackman always eating candy, digging it out of the trash can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I had a great time with this movie, and like I said, I saw it um
Twice.
twice when I saw it in 1996, and I had a great time at it. Just like with Boogie Nights, it's like you're going somewhere, like you're
Hmm.
going into this club, you know, and the music was great in it, and
Oh,
of
yes.
course we see you uh, in a scene where we're about to be introduced to Christine Baranski.
Imelda. That was me. Imelda. She
Yep.
kept calling me Imelda on screen. I'm like, okay. Yeah, Imelda. Imelda was her secretary.
Talk
But
about shooting that scene.
witty, quite witty, right? Because I mean, I'm reading, Nietzsche. um, I found myself chatting up a lot with, like I said, El Chivo, which is the lighting guy, brilliant guy who's worked on so many different movies, and just, chatting away with Robin the whole time. But the lighting, they're very particular about the lighting. So I felt like the lighting took forever to set up. And so it gave us a lot of downtime to just chat and hear stories from Robin and chat with Christine and have the director really like just play it straight. Just you're reading Nietzsche. Like,
Yep.
just play it straight. Don't think about, don't overthink, don't if he's over the top, that doesn't need to affect you. You're just like this pretty girl that works for um this very well-to-do lady, and it's all about the image. And I mean, he gave a lot of guidance, and just like enjoy the time and just play it straight. So that's exactly what I did.
Christine Baranski, her career goes way back too. I mean, she was in 9.5 Weeks, and going back that far. And she was well cast in this too. She worked well with Robin when they meet each other, and
Yeah.
they weren't this split couple that hated each other. You know, there was a respect.
And there was that kind of a little bit of that tango in there where you think, okay, at some point he might have, there was something there. There was some sexual tension for sure. Uh,
Yep.
yeah, they did a great, and it was very playful. They really enjoyed each other's company as well, which
Hmm.
also comes off on screen. Like I'm reading a book right now on leading ladies, written by he's written more than one about leading ladies. God, Natalie, West Side Story,
Natalie Wood.
Natalie Wood's husband. Um,
Um,
yes, I should go get my book. Heart to Heart.
you're talking about the actor, right?
The actor, yeah. He's written several books about leading
Because I
ladies.
know he was in Austin Powers. Just a second, I'll
Yes,
find
Austin
out.
Powers. Why can't I remember his name? He was around in Hollywood since he was a kid, and he used to work at the Beverly Hills um, uh, country club. So his books are always
Robert
fascinating.
Wagner.
Robert Wagner,
There
yes.
you go.
His books are always fascinating because he talks about old Hollywood and being a kid and seeing Clark Gable and Carol Lombard, and like, but he also talks about leading ladies, and then the women that were actresses, like real actresses. Like I that's how I see Christine Baranski, like um an actress that you might see her in a movie and be like, like, oh, is that? I mean, certainly after the Birdcage, she really like stood out, and then she did television for so many years. But um, just a really great cast, like part of a cast, like maybe not the leading lady, but a phenomenal actress that makes the cast.
Yep.
Yeah, so she did a great job, and then there was that kind of tango between them that felt very real.
Well, I remember in 9.5 weeks, she did this thing where she had the spoon on her nose, and but people were doing it at the time. I could never do it, but she obviously could.
Yeah.
Yep.
And a working actress for many, many years. Like she's been in the business for many years.
Yep. Yep. No, what was she like for you to work with?
She was, welcoming and friendly, not necessarily overly talkative. I think she was not as introverted as Nathan Lane, but she was just there to, get work done. Not, I mean, that's not to say that I'm like wanting to chit chat with people, because I was quite shy. And
Robin Williams did.
yeah, but I was gonna say, but for me, it was like I remember Robin saying, "Do you want to take some pictures? Let's take some pictures together." And then the person that goes and kind of takes pictures of the outfits was like, "Yeah, I'll take." And luckily, I have those pictures. Otherwise, I was very shy and wanted to be very respectful. I didn't want to socialize unless people socialized with me. So I noticed, out of the group, the one that was the most social, was Robin. Robin and mostly Robin. But Christine was very friendly and lovely, and she was nice, and she was friendlier than like Nathan. But yeah, she was. It's not that I really struck up a deep conversation with her. She was just nice and nice to work with.
Wow. You got pictures with Robin Williams, huh?
Do yes,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
That's gonna be a wonderful memory.
Two actually, he pulled in Nathan, so it was I have two pictures that are Polaroids that I've now like made sure to make copies of and keep, because Polaroids start to get, they easily
Yeah.
scratch, and they start to, the color kind of starts to fade. But it's Robin, Nathan, and I'm in the middle, and I have two pictures, two really nice Polaroids that, again, I didn't even think to bring in my camera, because I didn't want to, impose on anybody. And it was just like, Robin was like, "No, let's take a picture. Hey, come on, do you mind? Let's take another Polaroid." And they took two. And even, I remember he told me at the end, he's like, "Well, why don't you want to get everybody to sign the original? I have the original script, the full original script. Do you want everybody, let's get everybody to sign your script." And I was like, "No, Robin, no, I don't want to impose. Come on, I'll take, no, I don't want to, I don't want to impose on people. I don't want to ask them to sign the script. It's okay." Now I look back and hello, the original script I could have had. He probably would have taken it to everybody. "Gene, can you sign this?" But I didn't get the original script signed because I wanted to be too, I was too, not necessarily shy, but I really wanted to be cognizant that I was
Yeah,
there to work and respectful.
I would have had it signed. I do
Oh
know
yeah, yeah. Well,
that.
the me now is a different. I was like very young. The me now would have been like, "I'd be, are you done with your scene? Hey, can you sign this for me?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah, had to be known. But at least, I mean, I still have the original script, which is cool.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because Robin Williams is one of these individuals that is very engaging. There's nothing worse than going onto a set and the lead goes to the trailer and doesn't come out until their scenes are shot. It's always nice to have somebody that,
Yeah.
yeah, will engage with people.
Yeah, or just knowing that you're new. I mean, I'd worked television for a long time, and I'd worked, you know, as a model. So I wasn't necessarily afraid of the camera, but I had never worked on a film set. So it was scary, and it was, you could easily shrink, especially if you're dealing with people that are, like you said, like they're just going to their trailer, or they can be nasty. I mean, I've also heard horror stories. So that was not, by day two, just because Robin made sure to break the ice and was just constantly chatting, and like he said hi to everybody, but I think he also had that intuitiveness. He was a Cancer, to know, like, okay, who's the person that might be struggling, or who's the person that's like new on the set. I'm going to zero in and give that person extra attention. And he really went out of his way to give me extra attention. So when you're like, on the set and Robin's kind of taking you under his wing, Nathan might be introverted, but if he's like, hey, Nathan, we're taking a picture now. Yeah, Nathan's going to put down whatever he's doing to go take a picture because Robin's the one that's basically the head, right? He's the one that, and at the time, Nathan was well known on Broadway, but I think Robin really was a star, and continues to be. But so yeah, so it was cool because I gave it an extra. I just felt very comfortable and sort of protected.
I know you didn't have scenes with Hackman and Weist, but did you meet them and what were they like?
I saw Gene was there because he was shooting. So we shot in Greenwich Studios
Okay.
in Miami, which I don't even think they're around anymore,
Okay.
unfortunately. In the North Miami, it was in North Miami, but and he was shooting something that day, so I would see him on set, but I wasn't on set with him. And I saw Diane as well, like in the makeup room, like getting ready. And again, very friendly, very, hi, how are you? How are you? Good afternoon. It's not that they walked in like and ignoring people around them. They were very, very considerate, and you can tell professional. You can tell they've been in the business for a long time. But I didn't get a chance to work with him, unfortunately.
No, I have tremendous respect for them. Yeah.
Yeah. Both of them are like my hat's off. I was excited about Robin, but I think, as I shared before, Mike Nichols and Gene Hackman, those, like you said, the French Connection, like just it. Gene is of a time that I remember watching movies with like my dad. Well, the reruns, because most of the movies are from the '60s, but like the time of like Paul Newman and Papillon, or HUD, Paul Newman and HUD, like these very masculine figures that were, in the case of Paul, like beautiful, but a little bit, salt of the earth and rough around the edges, and just great leading actors, great character actors as well. And Gene is of that time. So just, thinking of Gene, like being in the presence, just walking past, oh, Gene, kind of was so exciting.
I have interviewed I've interviewed Randy Jensen from the French Connection. He was one of the real cops that was involved in the real case.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I had him on, and he's actually, you could see him in the French Connection too. So
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
so that was interesting, and hearing about the French Connection. I think that is the greatest action movie ever made. I think it was phenomenal.
It was, especially for that time, right? Because we need to think about, I guess in the '90s there were great action movies, but then you have to combine amazing acting. I keep saying amazing, but I think that's the word of the day. Combining action with really good acting, with really good actors, like that. And at a time when the studio system wasn't at its peak. It was kind of like the beginning of the downfall for the studio system when this particular movie came out. So yeah, to be able to put something together of that caliber, with it's an action movie with a great director, incredible acting, and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, were you at the premiere for the Birdcage?
I was not. I didn't think I was going to get an invitation, and I remember I got an invitation, but it was kind of, it came in late, and again, I was quite young. My parents were already in the process of divorce, and so it wasn't the best timing for me to try to jump on a plane to head to California. But I wish I had, because that would have been a cool experience. Um, what I did, I didn't actually go to it, but it was cool to receive a Screen Actors Guild as part of like the cast, as the whole cast received a Screen Actors Guild. So that was a big perk. And I have my it's an actual award and it's my name's on it, and that was pretty exciting.
And of course, you were also in South Beach as well, the TV series.
South Beach, yeah. I did a segment of Arliss. So I ended up after the Birdcage, and I started in the business as a model, and then I worked for Univision and Telemundo, and kind of started very very young in television. And I decided after the Birdcage to move to California and participated in a couple of things, but I was also dating someone who was an actor who I ended up marrying, and Hispanic gentleman. And once I married him, the thing was, okay, like, you're now my wife. So he sort of retired me from the business, and I allowed it.
Oh,
Yeah, no one, I allowed it. I don't give. I'm not to say that it's his fault. Like, right, we got to be accountable in life. But yeah, I kind of took a very long break from the business, and then did a pivot and went into editorial work and writing, which is my passion.
hmm.
And that I got a divorce. And the writing has been, I was a travel writer for a decade, for like 10 years. So I've had the opportunity to travel to very far off places, mostly alone. I've set goals like to see all seven modern wonders, which I have mostly alone. And the travel has been incredible. So that's the irony of life. I didn't fully pursue it because I fell in love, and I was, again, young and influenced to be more focused on being someone's wife and supporting his career. And then I realized, you know what? No, my career is really important too. And
You started really young too. Like I think it was what 12 or 14 you started modeling?
I started at 12 doing theater, 14
Okay.
modeling, saved
Okay.
up to go to school from the money that I made from modeling.
Hmm.
Then I went into, I worked on a television show with Telemundo, which was a daytime, it was actually aired internationally, and it was a daytime game show.
Okay.
That for a couple of years. Then I ended up going over to Univision. They went through the stage of having this like youth quake, and they wanted all this like young talent. It was very Americanized as well. So I spoke in Spanish, but with the whole kind of like very American vibe, and was on that show for a couple of years. And then I kind of got poached over back to Telemundo as an entertainment reporter, and did that I was the youngest entertainment reporter that Telemundo had at that time, and did that for a couple of years. So yeah, so I've been kind of in and out. I've come and gone from working on TV, but now it's mostly print.
So and that of course is your passion, you know. But starting at a young age, how much pressure was that? Or was this just something that you dove into because you enjoyed it?
I didn't, I think because of my mom was also a performer. My mom studied, there are four prima ballerinas,
Hmm.
Russian, French, I can't remember where the third one, but the fourth one was she just recently died, probably over a year ago, Cuban. My
Hmm.
mom studied with Alicia Alonso ballet since she was a tiny little girl. So since she was a child, she was a performer, and she early on noticed that I loved to dance. I loved, I would put on a show, and um, asked me like, what do you do want to dance? What do you want to do? And so she put me in. I was so terribly shy too, which I am so thankful now that she put me in acting classes, and I mean, I was shy where crossing the street, I would like go into a mini panic. Like that's how I could put on a show in front of my grandpa and my grandma and my mom and my dad and my brother who was, but to actually go on a stage, oh my God. So she put me into theater, and she put me into acting, and then like TV production from very early on. And she let me know, and she also was all about the importance of stimulating self-esteem and self-worth, which is ironic that I ended up marrying someone who was a bit possessive, but I'd go into a casting and I'd be like, oh my God, mom, like, look at, there's all these women they're like beautiful. And she's like, no, 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 no. Everybody here has their own magic. You have your magic, you just focus on your magic. So she was very about like, you go on there and you do your best. And if it's meant for you, that's meant for you. Once you're out the door, don't look back. If they call you, they call you. If they don't call you, oh well. So that was always my attitude. I didn't like wallow, oh, I didn't get the part. Like that wasn't, if I got the part, great. If I didn't get the part, oh well, there's gonna be a better part. And that's always been my attitude. And now as time goes on, like I remember the story of Gwyneth Paltrow not doing the Titanic, and everybody came down on her. You didn't do the Titanic. And then the Titanic came out and it was like this mega thing, right? And oh my God. And then a year later, she did Shakespeare in Love and she won the Oscar. So I feel like timing is everything. And also, it's never too late. There's this one Mexican actress, oh my God, who won the Oscar. Like she was a well-known actress in Mexico, had done soap operas, had done television and films as well in Mexico. And she ended up winning the Oscar for this movie with Brad Pitt. And she won the Oscar like in her 60s. I had to look her up. Adriana Barraza.
Okay.
So my way of thinking is if it's your turn, it's your turn. Whether you're 10, 12, 63, it doesn't matter.
Absolutely. Well, 25 years. I can't believe 25 years has gone by since this movie was released.
You can't believe it. I can't believe it. Jesus, that makes me old.
Actually, you look great, I mean, I know you said that you just come
I would
on
have
here,
felt
but
up for you, but I just didn't. I was like,
your
okay,
hair looks great. Your face is that even like your little outfit you have on, is that purple?
it's gray and it's a robe.
Oh, is it
It's a sweater.
well, it looks nice,
It's a sweater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. It looks fine. I mean, and your background is great and stuff. So yeah, I mean, no disappointment here. So
Thank you. I appreciate so much like the time, and I just really appreciate it. And just even, talking about not just the film, but like thinking about Robin and the experience, and it's just you know, a balsam to the heart.
do you have any charities that you're involved with that you want to plug on here?
I have different charities. I don't work with any specific one. Like
Hmm.
I'll donate clothes to the Lodge, which is it's a safe house for women that deal with domestic violence, or
Hmm.
Lotus House. But it's I'm always trying to find new places to help and to work with. So I don't work with one specific one.
Okay. And I know you have a web page because I was on there. Tell
Yeah.
people where they can reach you.
It's Francesca Cruz. It's spelled francescacruz.com. And during the pandemic, what I did do, because of my travels around the world and the opportunity to work and collaborate and learn from different spiritual masters and teachers, like from shamans to feng shui masters to Reiki, I put together some soul bars, which they're these 3 different soaps. They're made with herbs and essential oils, and they help to cleanse the aura. And if you go on the site, francescacruz.com, they're on there under Bathing Muse.
Okay.
Thanks
Okay.
for the plug.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. No, how are you doing with the pandemic down there, Thank goodness for Zoom, because in 2020 I had done 30 interviews and then the station went into lockdown. It's funny, our theaters are open, but I
Yeah.
can't get in the station where they could control how many. It's over my head.
Irony of life. I know there's a lot of ironic moments. During the pandemic, I for me it was everyone was sent to their room. It didn't matter your, you know, how much money you made,
Hmm.
what color your skin was, what religion or what God you prayed to. Everybody was sent home. Everybody was sent to their room to think about life. And I think Earth also, and I remember thinking about this before the pandemic, because before the pandemic, if you recall, like Australia was basically burning down. All these animals were dying in the Australian fires. Everything was like tumultuous in life. And I just remember thinking, humanity's going to have to pay the price somehow. And then the pandemic comes, and like the fear of the pandemic, and when is this going to end? Like there was like no end in sight, which is, and the idea of that not being able to see your family, and it was a difficult time for humanity. And but it allowed us, I feel, at least from my perspective, to sit and think about, okay, what's really important in life, and what am I going to dedicate, how can I pivot from this situation, as we've been talking about the idea of pivoting in life. um, what did I gain from it? Like, what did I learn? What do I need to appreciate? What's really important? And during this time, I had a lot of people reaching out to me and asking me for like guidance, advice. I mean, people that were extroverts, right? That you think the introverts, well, they're going to have a better time with it because they're introverted, but a lot of extroverts actually reached out. A lot of introverts, like people were having a very difficult time with um, not knowing what was going to happen, like the uncertainty of that came with the pandemic. And because of that is that I started this whole soul bar, because I found myself like giving a lot of advice and like, well, what can I do? And I'd be like, listen, try to take buy yourself some lavender, order some lavender on Amazon online, buy some lavender, do like a lavender bath, like try to do some meditations. I'm going to send you a link so you can do some meditations. Like people that were even like quote unquote atheist, non-believers of anything, I found were connecting with me and like asking for wellness advice. And so I didn't have as terrible of a time with it, because I found myself, I didn't have time to have a terrible time, because I felt like needed by friends. And then what I did feel was impotent, that I couldn't do more. So I reached out to contacts that I had, a girlfriend that works for different hospitals, and I was like, listen, I'm going to bake cookies for the frontliners. Like, how can I help? And that you're going to be able to give me the green light. I don't want to bake 1,000 cookies and then I show up to the hospital and they're like, sorry, we're not accepting, anything from outside. So she's like, no, no, no. So I got my niece with me, together with me to bake all these cookies. And it's also a way of showing her the importance of giving back and being charitable. And I just tried to make the most of the time. Did you do anything like out of,
Actually, it's interesting because with the pandemic shutting the station down, I hadn't been able to. Thank goodness I had a backlog of about 150 interviews, so I was able to still put new stuff up. But I got connected with Zoom. I decided in 2021 I wasn't gonna not do my show because I
yeah.
enjoyed it and I had about 30 people on my wait list. So I was like, I got connected with Zoom and I've been doing it this way this year. And I love the option video, audio, and that is
Learn
fantastic.
something new, right? Like that
Yep.
perhaps had the pandemic not come around, you wouldn't be put in the position of having to learn another option, right?
Yep. But I still worked during the pandemic. You see, I do the podcast because I enjoy it. I don't get paid to do this. And I volunteer at the station. I work as a cleaner. I'm an essential worker.
Wow.
So I didn't stop during the pandemic at all. In fact, I almost like here in New Brunswick, we got the jump on it. We're right now in the yellow phase, so which is second from home base.
Yeah.
Um, but with me, I kept working through it. I mostly work at nights, so there's mostly nobody around. I wear my mask and stuff, but for me, I haven't seen anybody that's been affected by it personally,
Yeah.
but
Because you live more of a nocturnal life as well, right? And what
well,
you
I
you're
I
doing it.
wasn't I wasn't afraid to go back to the theater either. People are like, "Is it safe? Is it safe?" I just went. I just saw it as a big inconvenience, but that was from
Yeah.
my perspective. It's like I can't sit at the apartment all day, you know.
No,
I
no, no.
didn't even get to vacation last year. It's like my supervisor took a week off vacation and she come back a day early, told me she was bored by midweek.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
Well, but
it's
her vacation was probably staying at home.
yeah, pretty much, I guess. And it's like I like to go to Toronto every year to visit. I got one of my guests down there that I connect with, and and I got a convention I go to down there. And of course, the convention get canceled, but it's like I miss that.
Yeah.
And it was like at least I want to get my podcast up and going and doing that again. And I just got tired of this whole stupid pandemic, and I just wish it would go away. You know, people are right now getting their vaccines. Not here. I don't think we're supposed to start getting them till end of June. That's what I heard. So
Oh goodness.
yeah, I'm way down the totem pole on that. So I'm like, yeah,
Well, I still traveled, to be quite
yeah,
honest. I mean, having spent so much of my life traveling, I think it's also a lot of common sense. I mean, granted, luck as well. But just from the years of traveling, I always get on a plane and wipe, before the pandemic, wipe everything down. That's just
mhm,
a habit. So, I mean, I think the common sense helps, like wearing your mask constantly, washing your hands, like that. Some of it is just common sense. So, yeah.
yeah. But you know what? It was wonderful celebrating 25 years of the Birdcage. Wow.
I thank
Yep.
you so much for the opportunity to chat about it and remember
Yeah,
all these memories have come up. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and I will certainly keep you in the loop when this is ready.
Yes, please
You
do.
know, I don't know when that'll be, so might just be patient with me.
I will.
Yep,
No worries at all.
yep. My brother works on the tech side of my show, and our parents are both terminally ill, so he's been dealing with them. So I had somebody reach out to me the other day asking me, you know, about the interview, and I explained that, and that they understood, you know, because I'm not very tech, and so my
No, you're
brother,
not techie. I'm not a real techie person. No, you just let me know when it's. I'm not going to be reaching out. Don't worry. I know.
yeah,
Yeah. If it's an evergreen, it'll come out when it needs to.
absolutely. Anything else you want to say before we close off?
No, just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. This is really lovely. And a big hello to everybody in Canada, which I absolutely love my Canadians. I love Canada. So thank you for the opportunity.
Well, you know what? It was wonderful talking to you today, and hopefully we'll pull through this pandemic. But you look fine. Yep, you look very radiant, and
If they
I
ask
love
you, I was wearing a sweater.
sweater.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, this is one I wear around the apartment too, so this is not exactly dress code either. So don't worry about it. You look a lot more classier than I do.
Thank you.
But anyway, you enjoy Miami and that
Thank you
beautiful
as
Miami
well.
weather, and I will bid you a great day. And
You too.
yeah, God
Thank
bless you, and thank you so much for allowing me the honor.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.